Joseph here, and welcome to my storybook, or the part 3 of Barack Obama, our 44th president. And this is the part 5 and part 6 for the night. Chapter 5. Los Angeles in 1979 was a loose, sprawling and shaded of almost 3 million. Like Hawaii has set by sizable popularity of African Americans, about 1/10 of the popularity of the city. Although the U.S. Center for Civil Rights Arts, although the U.S. Civil Rights Act of 1968 had outlawed segregation in housing, most blacks live in a few sections of the city, such as Watts, East Los Angeles, and South Central. These inner cities communities have long been plugged in with unemployment, sustaining in schools, and crime. The residents felt that the city government did not respect them or saw them well, and they were especially hated and mistrusting the Los Angeles Police Department. Similarly, representatives sometimes broke out in violence, the worst being the Watts riots of 1965. However, in that a Continental College was located in the Eagles Walk, in the Eagle Walk, a quiet and well-to-do suburb of Los Angeles. The campus streets were lined with eucalyptus trees. The buildings were Spanish style with rail tile roofs. The other black students at eucalyptus small perimeter of the student body were normally middle class, like Barry. These students have also points of view on what meant to be African American, so that in Maryland, the street talk of the black ghetto and spotted the Maryland sargos. Others were determined to ignore racial tensions and live their own lives. They wasn't defined by the color of their skin. They will tell you Obama will letter in his photograph. They were invalidables. But Barry, still searching for the community where he belonged, couldn't ignore his background. He joined the black students associations at Arkadello. He started calling himself by his real name, his African father's name, Barack. Unlike his mother and father, Barack had never been especially interested in politics, but occasionally he began to get involved. There were growing concerns at Exodus and at other colleges across the United States about South Africa's partisan by apartheid or legal socialism by race. At that time, South Africa was ruled by the white Morninger descendant for Dutch and British colonists. The blacks in South Africa were by far the major of the popularity, but they lived in poor poverty. By law, they could not vote in national elections or on land outside their highlands or lands, similar to the revolutions for Native Americans in the United States. Although South Africa as a nation was impoverished, most of the wealth was owned and controlled by whites. The United Nations had condemned it apparently for many years, but the United States and Western European nations had held back for breaking economic ties with South Africa over this issue. South Africa was an important trading partner for the United States, exporting diamonds, gold, and foreign products, and important measure machinery and other technologies. Ronald Reagan, elect U.S. president in 1980, opposing any attempt to force South Africa to give up a parliament. The organizing and represents to a parliament in South Africa was the African National Congress, ANC, labeled a terrorist group by the U.S. State Department. The best known leader of the ANC was Nelson Mandela, who had been in prison since 1964. The speech he gave when he was sentenced, "I am prepared to die," was a source of inspiration for us people all over the world. It also inspires Barack and many other college students. Barack and his activist friends joined the movement to organize Americans to oppose the injustice in South Africa. One tactic with dry statement or refusing to own stock in South Africa, business, or in U.S. companies. We did business in South Africa. Many colleges, including Arkansas, own investment in South Africa, and students began to disobey to get the trustees of the college to sell those tenant investments. At the Dodd statement rally on the national campus, Barack discovered that he had a talent for public speaking when he got out to talk about politics, an issue that could really change many people's lives. He spoke from the heart. He realized that he could make a crowd pay attention to what he was saying. The incident gave him an inkling that he could find his identity by reaching below himself, losing his intellectual and talents to help other people. During his 2 years in the Occidental, Barack began to turn his attention away from his own individual source for identity. He was inspired by the example of Nelson Mandela, the president leader of the ANC in South Africa. He realized that it might be more satisfied to search for his mission in life. What could he do for other people? This has always been his mother's attitude, which she tried to pass on to him. Now it began to sink in. Gradually, Barack spent less of his time partying and playing basketball. He decided not to try out for the school basketball team because it would take up too much of his time. He still played basketball, but just picked up games for fun and exercise. He didn't necessarily study any harder, but professors were impressed with his intelligence and ability to express his thoughts. There were plenty of other thinkers, students, and faculties to argue with their occasionally, and Barack discovered that he enjoyed debating and was good at it. One popular instruction educational politics scientist Roger Bossa urged Barack to study harder and make use of his talents. His course, Modern Politics to was Barack's favorite during his time at Arkansas College. But Barack was angry when Bollinger gave him a B on one exam because he knew his agricultural score was as high as some students who received an S. When Barack questioned his grades, his instructor simply said, "You didn't apply yourself like Barack's. You didn't apply yourself like Barack's mother." Basically wanted him to walk up to his potential, not just to do well without really trying. The message was that it wasn't all right to just cast on his talents. He had responsibility to lose them well. The atmosphere in Los Angeles was more militant, generous, and for Barack than it had been in easygoing Hawaii. Madeline knowing that her grandson became more profitable about his life during his 2 years there. He actually clearly told her that he wanted to lead the world a better place. Mellon, who was following his footsteps at Parliament School, also known as the thoughtfulness, and saw a focus about her brother. Barack was attracted to the field of public policy, the study of government decisions that can change the circumstances of people's everyday lives. U.S. policy of trading with South Africa, in spite of that country's policy of legal generations, was a good example of such decisions. Barack was also pulling in the direction of becoming a will. By the spring of 1981, Barack felt he was ready for a bigger challenge than a Canadian college. He decided to transfer to Columbia University in New York for his last 2 years of college. While the education was an example of college, it was small. Columbia was. Worldwide, renowned university with a diverse student body. Columbians have predominantly numerous Nobel Prize winners. It was the home of the Progressive Pulitzer Prize for joining this. In the field of public policy, the faculty of Columbians included such names as Zimbabwe Brzezinski, former National Security Advisor to President Jimmy Carter, and Zimri Kalizawa, who was served in several presidents and nominations, and even temporarily become the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. One of the strongest attractions of Columbia for Barack was its location, New York, one of the great cities of the world, rather than sparing the accessory in Los Angeles. Also, the black section of New York, Harlem, was famous as a center for black music, literature, and politics. Malcolm X had once thrilled African American and diners with his old resident in Harlem. Musicians Barack loved, like Billie Holiday and Furless's in Harlem, African American widows in Maryland, including Langston Hughes and Richard White, had lived and worked in Harlem. Barack felt he might be the place where he would find his African American community. Chapter 6. In August 1981, Barack Obama arrived in New York. His goal of finding his place in an African American community seemed responsible at first. Since the Columbia University campus was in uptown Manhattan at the edge of Harlem, as a transfer student, Barack would live off campus rather than an adult mother. So he determined to find an apartment in Harlem. But all the available apartments in Harlem were either in an exclusion district, was too expensive for a scholarship student, or in slums. The biggest divide in New York, Barack found, wasn't between white and black so much as between rich and poor. On the one hand, there was the New York City of skyscrapers, power, and fabulous wealth. On the other hand, there was the New York City of the underprivileged, the hopeless, poor, and the crime-ridden neighborhoods. Barack managed to find a low-rent apartment not too far from Columbia, but he failed to find a community. Instead, he fell into a slower real life, studying and reading on his own. He spent most of his spare time with the genres and books such as the Bible. The novels are Hellman, Marvel, and Tom Morrison, and the philosophers of Friedrich Nietzsche. While Barack exercised his mind vigorously, he also went for long runs up and down Manhattan to exercise his body throughout high school. Barack had been big as well as tall, but during his college years, he graduated and grew lonely and loner. Thinking ahead 2 years to his graduation from college, Barack planned to travel to Cleveland and finally see his father again. The idea had come to him when he was still in Los Angeles, back in high school. He stopped writing to his father, and after a while his father had stopped writing to him. But now Barack felt a need to get in touch with his father. Before Barack left occasionally, he wrote to Barack Senior and told him that he wanted to visit Cleveland after he graduated from college. His father wrote back, telling him it was important for him to meet the Apricot side of his family, and also think that you know where you belong. When he belonged was exactly what Barack wanted to know most. However, it didn't occur to him that his father also needed to see him. Barack mentioned Barack Senior as a rapidly important with man with a happy family and life in Cleveland. The summer after Barack's first year at Columbus, his mother and Marilyn came to New York to visit. They find him in his carefully apartment surrounded by piles of serious books and not much else. Barack criticizing his sister for reading People, a magazine of light extras about the lives of the celebrities. Evidently, he didn't remember how his father had criticized him at age 10 for waiting to watch How the Grinch Stole Christmas and still studying. Hearing that Barack was planning to visit his father after graduation, his mother talked to him at length about her first husband. She didn't want Barack to feel resentment towards his father, to blame him for leaving in their family. She explained that she was the one who had divorced Barack Senior when he visited down in Hawaii when Barack was 10. He had asked her to come to Cleveland with him, but she had refused, listening to his mother. Barack was moved that she cared so deeply for his father. She absolutely wanted the best for him, ever after the sad failure of their marriage. At Cleveland, Barack majored in politician sciences with an expert on international relations. He was studying hard for the first time. The coursework and the professor were more challenging at Columbus than in education, and the other students were more competitive and unprecedented. Barack became practicing and confident in debating. During his senior year, Barack took a smaller and class with only 8 students on foreign region policy. The focus on the class was on the news of foreign ad and how it worked further between first world countries like the United States and third world countries like Canada. For his second senior test, Barack used the topic of Soviet nuclear dismissal. Even since the end of World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union, controlled by Russia, have been locked in an arms race. Nuclear war and other harm from nuclear weapons have been a considered threat. President Jimmy Carter had made some progress in negotiating the Australia Alliance Lisbon Treaty with the Soviet Union in 1979, but President Ronald Reagan always imagined on build-up. These two different choices in foreign policy could have serious consequences for not only the United States and Russia, but also the entire world. During Barack's last year at Columbia, several months before graduation, his phone rang one morning as he was fixing breakfast. It was his Aunt Jen, his father's sister, called for Northern Carolina Barack Obama, Sr., who had been killed in a car accident. Aunt Jen asked him to call his Uncle Ward, who was living in Boston, and let him know. Barack was so stunned that he didn't know what he felt. All these years he had heard stories about his father, wondering about him, gaze at pictures of him, and being longing to become a normal person like him. Now Barack would not be able to see him to find out what he was really like. With Barack's father gone, it didn't seem to agree to go to Carolyn, and he pulled off the trip. He sent condolences to his father's family, Dot, and asked them to write. His half-sister, Alma, who had been born in Carolyn shortly before Barack was born in Hawaii, was starting to see how much Barack's handwriting looked like their father's. Eleanor was Barack Sr.'s second child. Eleanor's mother, Kazan, was Barack's first wife. Kazan had been pregnant with Eleanor with Barack Sr. left Carolyn to study at the University of Hawaii. Now Eleanor walked back to Barack and then began a cooperativeness. Now, at Cleveland, Barack had decided that he wanted to become a community organizer. He didn't know anyone who had that kind of job. He didn't know exactly what a community organizer would do. It said that soon he would help poor black people take control of their lives. Barack was inspired by the civil rights movement of the late 1950s and early 1960s. He knew that inspired progress made by Dr. Martin Luther King and others, there was still a lot to be done. He believed that if people in poor neighborhoods working together, they could build their lives. And he wanted to be part of the progress. It seems like a way for him to belong to a community of people who were cooperated to bring about justice. He learned for that. Barack also knew that community organizers weren't well paid, so first he needed to pay off his student loans and save some money. After graduating from Providence in 1983 with high honors, Barack got a job at the Business International Corporation. This small company partnership with newsletter on international friendship and consideration for the U.S. funds doing business outside the company. Barack, working as a resource assistant and edited a little book, Friends International Foreign Operation. Barack learned a great deal about the business world and international friendships. Barack's work at Business International Corporation was well paid, so he could afford an apartment in the Bell neighborhood on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, wearing a suit and tie and carrying a briefcase to work. Losing the service of the secretary pool, Barack felt like a different person, and it wasn't the person he planned to be. He was more aware There never was a sharp divide between rich and poor in New York, and he was afraid that if he went over to the rich side, he ended up with the wrong voters. However, there were other black employees, the secretary and the security guard for the building, ordering him to keep on this track towards more money, more power. They told him his ideals of helping poor people were never foolish, and sometimes he wondered if they wasn't right. One day while Barack was working on the computer at Business International, he received a call from his African half-sister who was studying in Germany. Barack and Aunt Almond had been written off and since their father's death. Now she was planning to come to the United States for a visit, and she wanted to see him. Barack was actually unhappy until she called again with bad news. Their half-brother David was long son their father's third wife had been killed in a motorcycle accident. So the news was doubly bad. A half-brother of World Barack had never seen was dead, and he and Alma would not be able to meet, at least not for now. Instead of coming to New York, she had to fly to Canada for David's funeral. A few months later, Barack resigned from the conservative firm and started looking for a job as a community organizer. Although he sent out dozens of resumes, no one seems to want him to hire him. He took a job for a few months with New York Parkinson's Interest and Resource Group, an organization inspired by politics and intelligence, rough leader. They sent him to City College of New York to work with mortgage students, but he didn't feel that he was accomplished much there. During this period, in 1984, Barack got his first guest speaker at the White House. He and student leader from CCNY traveled to Washington, D.C. to deliver a petition to the senators and congressmen representing New York. The petition protests President Ronald Reagan's proposal to cut student aid, which will hurt many of the low-income college students in Harlem. On this first trip to Washington, Barack had just time enough to visit the National Mall and gaze down the refreshing poured from the Washington Monument to the Lincoln Memorial. He also made a point of taking a look at the White House from Pennsylvania Avenue. He was impressed that the ordinary citizen could get so close to the president's residence in spite of the fact that President Wilson had been shot and almost killed by an assassin at the beginning of his term. Barack thought that the openness expressed Americans' confidence in their democracy. Back in New York, Barack continued to search for a job in his choosing field, but he was out of money. Just as he was thinking of going back to work in the business world, he got a call from Jerry Kahneman, a community organizer in Chicago. Kahneman himself was white and Jewish. He was looking for a person of color to work in Chicago's poor black neighborhoods where white people were ordinarily distributed, while Kahneman and Barack meet for an interview. Kahneman was delighted to find a college-educated black man who wanted a low-paying job. Barack, for his part, was eager to pursue his goal of serving society. He left for Chicago in June 1985. When Anne heard about Barack's new job, she was happy for her son, although she was on the other side of the war. She felt connected to him because the purpose of their work was smaller by getting to know the poor woman in Dalsnor village. She learned that a Crudup loom, a sewing machine, or a cow could transform them into a suffocating small business owners. Years early, when Anne was a lone woman and Barry was a lone boy in Indianapolis, they shared the frustrations of wanting to help people in need but not knowing how. Now they had each found a political approach. That's all for the chapter 5 and the chapter 6. We're going to chapter 7 and 8 for tomorrow's part 4. Until then, this is Joseph Crudup. I'll see you tomorrow.